Annabeth, Tommy, good to see you both. Welcome to Popternative.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
You know, it's interesting. I want to go back even before we go to camera. I want to go back to the script kind of phase of this. And I want to ask you both of this. I'll start with Annabeth because I love a film like this that has so many elements at play. And for me, right down the middle, there's the, rodeo, bull riding component, and then there's the crime heist component. And I'm wondering if one of those caught your attention more than the other when you were reading the script for that, or was it equal for you, Annabeth?
God, it's so funny that you say that because yes, crime heist and yes, bull riding. But for me, it was the relationship, it was like this mom, this wife, this sheriff, and yes, the backdrop of this world that brings so much, it's just already texture and story with the cowboy aspect and the crime aspect. But to me, it was neither of those things because it was just about a couple finding their way through cancer, the health crisis, addiction, and fighting to save their marriage, within this world. So I'm glad you asked that question but it really solidified the fact that for me at the outset, I was here for the relationships.
Oh, it's packed. Like it has so many elements. And those are the movies I like these days, Tommy, to be honest with you. I love those movies that I could watch it and literally talk to people about 15 things in this movie. And just not two, if you know what I mean, right, Tommy?
Of course. I of course love the cowboy culture element behind it, but it doesn't matter what environment the story is set in if the relationships aren't there.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it was the broken quality of all these characters, whether it's me, Annabeth, Forrie, Jake, who's dealing with addiction. Everybody was struggling with their own self-worth in this piece. And I really love finding characters that are flawed and injecting them with humanity. And at the end, hopefully you're rooting for them. And this story really has that quality. When Annabeth and I get together in the beginning of this picture, that relationship is over. Yeah. And by the end of this film, you're rooting for them to be together. And that really says a lot about the writing and the performances. I'm really proud of that aspect. And there's really no stereotypes. Annabeth, she plays my wife and a mother and a sheriff. So, she's not a stereotypical housewife. Mm-hmm. She's actually the conflict to the story that I'm married to. She's the one that could put my son away in prison for years, and I have to go home and face her on a day-to-day basis. So I really, when I read the script, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting here because it gives us a full hand to play with. Yeah. And I'm really proud of how it turned out.
Absolutely. I really love when you say that about the exploration of humanity because, Annabeth, it's interesting. One of my favorite genres, horror movies. You've worked in that genre a lot. And I feel like it's funny because everyone asks me, there's many reasons why I love a lot of those movies, but it's even horror movies, the exploration of people and humanity is my favorite thing about that. If you think about it.
Well, especially when you think about the fact that life in general, life wails on us all really hard, and we have our own horrors in our own realities, right? Yes. So the horror genre, I think, just kind of amplifies and mythologizes those same struggles we have on a freaking daily basis.
Absolutely. Annabeth, this kind of journey of reading something on a script and then seeing it come to life on screen, I feel like it's such a fascinating thing to see from a viewer. So I can't even imagine someone working on the film. The tension in this movie is there based on everything both you said, Tommy and Annabeth, about kind of the tension and the problems and the troubleshooting that a lot of these characters have to go for, the self-reflection. What's that like, seeing the tension, Annabeth, specifically between characters translate from script to screen for this film?
It's palpable because it's real, because besides the fact that you have complicated, flawed characters in romantic and emotional tension, you have actors who care and who are in our own tension in process.
Yeah.
So I think, and we had 18 days to shoot it. We were under the gun. We all wanted this to be amazing and authentic. And so all of that really feeds into, and that's what I love kind of about indie film as it exists, if it does anymore. But this was just like, we're all there. We don't have a bunch of time. Let's get dirty.
Mm-hmm. Tommy, for you specifically, maybe it depends on the project. It's all storytelling at the end of the day. But I feel like it's interesting because there's so much that kind of happens before you go to camera on a film or a TV show. So I feel like in a lot of ways you can look at it as two steps, before, like two journeys with like before filming and after filming, or it could be kind of one big journey with multiple steps from a storyteller perspective. Do you see it as one journey or do you see it as two separate journeys?
Well, there's two separate aspects for it for me, because the prep that goes into it has nothing to do with the filmmaking part of it. The prep is everybody's hopeful and doing their best to create this environment for you to work in. But once you step into the arena to do the work, you have to let go of it all and trust the process. And if you're able to do that, the gifts that will be coming back to you are bigger than what you ever imagined during the prep process. If you're going into the filmmaking aspect, trying to recreate what you did in prep, you've lost the game.
Yeah.
So that's something I had to learn sort of the hard way over the years, and younger artists struggle with that. But, really prepping and setting the table for your meal has nothing to do with eating the meal.
That's really well said. That question is usually kind of like a 50-50. Sometimes you get amazing answers like Tommy's, or sometimes you just get, I see it all as one big journey, and then they just pause. And I'm just kind of like, was that a waste?
Yeah, well, that's a fun interview.
Annabeth, it's interesting because I feel like I could ask this Tommy as well. I mean, both of you have worked in all these different kind of incredible worlds over the years, TV and film, different characters, different worlds. How separate are these worlds, like project to project? Are there some kind of elements, character-wise, or storylines that you bring to specific projects like Ride, or are they all separate once they're wrapped specifically for you?
Oh God. I mean, the optimal answer to that is that they're all separate.
Yeah.
Really, the older I get, the more unique I want each performance to be, for sure. That's one thing that maturity has really aided in my investment, to my creative process, is I want them to be distinct. And this world was so distinct.
Yes.
So for me, I feel like we really got there with something very different, and something I'd never touched before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tom, what about you as well? Like, do you see it as kind of like completely separate, or like, because there's going to be I think naturally you're going to bring things not even thinking about it to like projects and characters.
Well, there's experiences and things that I've learned from other artists and other projects that I may recall and apply. But some actors have a hell of a career playing themselves over and over and over, whether you're Clint Eastwood or many, there's many, and they're fantastic. I think what Annabeth was expressing is something that I sort of hang my hat on. I've challenged myself to be a bit of a chameleon.
Yeah.
I intentionally look for those changes. I'm not so interested in recreating or trying to perfect a certain aspect of myself and share it over and over.
Yeah.
I'm all about taking the risk and jumping in. And whenever I've leapt into that void of fear of the unknown, those gifts are again bigger and better than I ever could have imagined by staying at home and trying to control every little aspect of myself. So I have learned to really appreciate leaping into the void and trusting the process.
Absolutely. No, well said, both of you. My questions are very craft based, so that's why I knew you had to like really go deep. But like,
sure.
Can't wait for people to check out Rides in select theaters June 14th. They can check it out. Annabeth, Tommy, great chat with you both. It was an honor and privilege to speak with you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.